Today, I am so excited to get to be speaking with the amazing ladies at Energy Muse, Heather Eskenazi and Timmy Jandro. So, ladies, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. We love talking to you.
Well, I've been really looking forward to talking to you both again. I was lucky enough to be able to do an interview with you just a few weeks ago for our podcast, which was really exciting. And, it really got me thinking. One of the things that we touched on during that interview was cord cutting. So I thought that would be a great thing to share with everyone today. Can you tell us a little bit about what are these energetic cords?
So, sometimes people don't even realize that they have attached to someone energetically. And again, I could just use Heather and I as an example. We're around each other a lot. And so let's say I come in and I'm having a terrible day. I might not mean to put that energy towards Heather, but because we're so close, she feels it. So it might
I'm going to start cutting my cord.
It might be, it's a good practice that we use often because, you want to just be free of that energy. And it's not like she's cutting me out of her life. She's cutting that energetic cord, sending light my way to replace that cut or that energy that's been cut. And then we move on and you feel a lot lighter because when you're a sensitive person and you're around people, you can pick up on energy so easily. And even when you're not so sensitive, it happens.
So, for someone who's new to this concept, they've probably heard this term before. So these are really just energetic attachments between people. Can we be corded to like places or objects as well?
Yeah, I think for me, how I get my head around it, because I always have to get my head around it, is that when we get attached to something, say it could be, for me, or a crystal, oh my gosh, and you see this crystal and you're like, oh, I really want it, but it's maybe out of my price range or, whatnot, but you can't stop thinking about it. So that could be more of an object. Or sometimes we can be attached to places we've traveled and emotions and experiences that we had there that were either maybe not as amazing or unbelievably amazing. And so the reason it's important to cut the cords, even if it's a fantastic experience, is that I look at cutting the cords as I want to have all my energy fully invested in me. I don't want to be leaking it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And so the cutting the cord ritual cutting the cords helps you really connect to where am I leaking my energy? Where are my thoughts in the past? Where are my thoughts in the future? Who do a person keep thinking about or a situation? And it keeps us from being in the now moment because we're not fully present. So I look at it as a almost like spiritual house cleaning on a daily basis. Because that way we are empowered to be in the present moment. And it gives us a tool to help us cut or disconnect. And it's an action that we can do that sometimes we could think of things in our head, but I know me, I like to have an action so that I'm physically doing something that helps me to really get my head around it.
Yeah, that's so true. And you kind of touched on my next question a little bit there, which was, what really happens to our energy body when we have these cords or attachments? And you mentioned this idea of an energy leak. Now, can you explain to everyone why that is a bad thing?
Okay, well, give you an example.
Yeah, just for me, you just might feel physically drained. It might be more of a physical thing. And if you look at it energetically, it might be that one of your chakras where the attachment has occurred may be blocked because that cord is there to another person.
So this might be going a little bit deeper. I don't know if it's too much, but I'm just going to say it. So sometimes, what I'm really researching now with crystals is how trauma is held in our body and how we could use the energy of the earth to help us go back on a cellular level and repattern ourselves. Okay, so hypothetically, you're in fifth grade and you're playing on the bars at school, the handlebars, and you fall off and somebody laughs at you and all the kids are, ah, ha, ha, ha. And as a lot of times we think, maybe that didn't have any kind of traumatic effect on us. But maybe it did in some little respect. It made us kind of not feel as confident, and maybe we didn't go on the bars as much. And how does that one little event play out over time? And how can we use cutting the cords on a deeper level, where the more we get grounded into our own spirit, we could go, okay, I want to deal with confidence and self-love, or why is it I'm not stepping out like I used to? And what happens is, as we go through these healing processes, events come up in our head, and we could use the same cutting the cord as an event that not only happened now, but it could have happened in our childhood, that over time leaves its mark. And so what I am finding is that with crystals, once we cut it, we can use a crystal to put it on our body. And then I think, in my opinion, we can also, if we are energy and we're light beings, and we can then reprogram that link that once held us back and fill that space up and rewrite our stories. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I love this idea of these cords really even going back into the past, because energy is just energy, right? And
Yeah.
energy, it stays with us. It transforms. It's always
Absolutely.
in a difference. I love this idea of reaching back into the past
Yeah.
and really changing things.
And what I am finding personally is because I work with I'm into biohacking, and I like the food and all the supplements. But what I personally am finding is that, in my opinion, the crystal world's able to really get there quick on some of these levels. And it's exciting as someone who's been practicing or working with crystals for 26 on years. This is kind of something new I'm researching on the cellular level, energetic cellular level, as vibration of what we are capable of healing. It's really amazing and exciting.
That's super phenomenal. I look forward to seeing what you discover with that.
Yay!
Well, let me ask you this. We talked about how we can send cords to other people, other places, objects. Can other people then also attach cords to us? And how does that work? How do these cords come into our field just like they go out?
Well, in my opinion, I think by thinking of somebody, whether sometimes like if that's why some very high profile people will work with these techniques, because say they're out teaching in front of 200 people, when they're listening to somebody, oh, I like what they said, or I don't like, we send energy, and there's a cord so sometimes it's not like hey, I'm going to cord to that person. It's just when we are connected. And that's why this whole thing is that we are connected. And so this tool or this practice, in my opinion, it should be on a daily basis, if not every couple days, because this is spiritual house cleaning. And we need to do that because we could cord to our kids. We could cord to our parents. It's not like it's a good or bad thing. That's the human consciousness putting judgment on it, because it's all personal interpretation. But the power of this spiritual medicine is that we are empowered on a daily basis to say, I cut anything that maybe I have sent, whether it's conscious or not conscious, and anything that was sent to me, whether it's conscious or not conscious, with love and light, sending it to the highest being, sending it back, filling my own self up with energy and refueling, so that at least I could start the day being present in me and not have 20 other people and things going on. You'll feel the shift. It's something that is so beyond intellectual. It's kind of sometimes even hard to put human words around it. But I think that people that listen to you, they will feel it. It's not an intellectual thing. You'll feel lighter. You will feel a difference.
Yeah, this is a practice I started doing many years ago, and I cannot even explain the difference in my energy level, in my emotions, in my physical well-being. It really does impact you on kind of every level of your being, and it creates this amazing transformation. And I remember, you know, especially for those of us, like you said, who are energetically sensitive, who are light workers, who are maybe empaths, we are so sensitive, and many of us are like little sponges. Well, for those of you out there watching right now, imagine if you have all these connections going to all these different places, what kind of energy overload and overwhelm that creates, especially for a highly sensitive person. And just by doing this daily activity, which I was going to ask, you know, how frequently should people really be doing this? And I agree with you. Every day would be amazing. And this is something I think if you know, how can people create like a little ritual or something that reminds them? Like for me, I do this while I'm in the shower because it's like, it's just natural. You know, you're doing some physical cleansing. You might as well do a little energetic cleansing at the same time. Is there like a good way that you recommend people get in the habit or routine of doing this?
Well, we like to work with black kyanite because if you look at black kyanite, it actually looks like a little sword, like a little knife where it's kind of fanned out. So again, working with the energy and the energetic cords, if you start at your first chakra, which you can't see, but if you were to cut all the way up energetically through the energetic field that's in front of you, never touching yourself with this, but just letting go and cutting through all those cords through the first through the seventh chakra, you can really feel the lightness as you continue up through this cord cutting ritual. Then we suggest holding this kyanite in each of those chakras, starting at the base for 1 minute. You work all the way up until you get to the seventh chakra. So you're really working with the energy of the kyanite to help disconnect you from the cords you've put out or that have been put onto you.
Can I share a true story? Because sometimes, once again, and I'm a researcher and I'm also probably one of the biggest skeptics you're ever going to meet. So I'm like, you got to prove it to me with all this stuff. So the reason I want to share this one story is because even as someone who does this all the time, I like to hear the feedback of people that have done something and like, give me the real life result here. You know what I mean? So a couple weeks ago, Timmy and I had to talk and teach this. And so we called all the people at Energy Muse to come in and practice this ritual. And without giving too many details, I'll just share the crux of it. Everyone did it. Everyone left. And a couple days later, one of the girls in our office said, hey, I want to share a story with you. And I said, okay. She said, you know, I did the cutting the cord and I thought of somebody. And I didn't want to cut the cord because I was very angry with this person. And there was a lot of family dynamics and a lot of pain and a lot of anger. And one of the things that I suggested is that whoever we were cutting the cord with, we filled ourselves with light, but we sent that person forgiveness. And she said it was hard because I didn't want to forgive. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, you know, and so she said it was difficult for me, but I did it because, you know, I did it. So she said, I've been trying to get a new car and this and that. And there's been some money things and blah, 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 blah. And this person she hadn't talked to this person for 6 months. After cutting the cord and sending like sincere forgiveness, the person called and said, look, I'm calling you. I don't, you know, out of the blue, I was thinking of you and I came across a new car and I want to give it to you. And she was like, why are you calling me? And what's going on? And she said, I just feel it's the right thing to do. And literally 4 days later, now granted, I'm going to be honest. I have not received a new car from doing this technique. And I know that Timmy has, and the rest of the office hasn't. But the point of the story is that she went to the core of herself where she realized that by holding on to these emotions and not forgiving was keeping her linked and not really truly free. And so I guess the moral of the story isn't so much the cool car that she got, which is awesome. And it's in the back now, but is that she said she freed herself of something that she felt was in her body for years, but it came on her end where when she cut it, instead of cutting it, be like, all right, we're done. I forgive you. Like, I really forgive you. Now we're done. Does that make sense?
I am so glad that you just touched on this, because I think that this is truly that other half, that other dynamic when it comes to the cord cutting and cord clearing, is this embracing of forgiveness and true forgiveness, like you said, on this really deep level. And that can go back and heal such a big part of you. I mean, when I first started doing cord cutting, I didn't realize, and this is well over a decade ago, I did not realize I was an angry person at that time of my life. And looking back now, I think like, oh my gosh, how did I function with all of that pent up emotion and stored emotion that was so unhealthy for me and unhealthy for the people around me? And it's so hard to even think of myself that way. You know, I don't even feel like that person anymore. But so much of it was because of that unwillingness to forgive, or that feeling like you're not ready and hanging on to that stuff that is just not good for us. And this is such an amazing technique to do, to finally move past that stuff. You know, even if you feel like maybe, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I truly could, you know, really feel that forgiveness inside. You might even question. When you just get into the habit and practice of doing this, it's just like, you know, doing anything like gratitude journaling, you know, and when you get into this habit, it starts to come more naturally. You start to recognize it in other areas of your life. You start to be more conscious of how this really affects you on an energetic level. So thank you so much for speaking to that, and for sharing this example, and for explaining it. The ultimate goal was not the car. It was this deep level of healing that this person got. So I just love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think sometimes when you do this ritual, you might have someone in mind, and then you're starting the process and something or someone else comes up.
Yeah.
And you've got to honor that, because you might be pushing something that there's something even more important you need to work with. And that happens to me all the time. I think, oh, I've got this handled. I know exactly what I should be releasing. And then something else comes up that is really been gnawing at me for a long time.
Yeah.
Just honoring it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you both this question. So we talked a little bit about, you know, how often we should be doing this, and we really should be striving for doing it every day. But I think, you know, we're all human. We're all going to miss a day here or there. We're going to forget. I find that if I have little reminders for myself about things, it really helps me tune in. So, for example, you know, if I find that my neck is really hurting through the day, it means that I probably haven't done yoga yet. If, you know, there are just little cues and I go, oh, wait a minute. And they're just reminders to check in. So what are some things that people should look for, maybe in their emotional well-being, their physical well-being, their energetic well-being? What are things that like would be little hints that it's definitely time to cut these cords?
Well, I know for me, like being short, maybe getting a little cynical or sarcastic, I might be pushing down things and acting like as if everything's okay, yet it's not. And when I start going there, I'm like, something's off. And that's a good tip for me.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the whole healer, heal thyself, is that, and a lot of the work on the spiritual journey is about us getting to know ourselves, which is awfully scary sometimes. And so it's that reminder to check in and be alone a little bit, because when we get in tune with ourselves, we know when things are off. We know when we, as Timmy mentioned, getting short. We know that when we don't really feel ourselves. We know when maybe our head, our thoughts get more negative talk, or that we're not seeing life how we normally see it, because maybe we have so many other energies coming at us that we're not even ourselves. So it'll be different for everyone. But when you know yourself a bit better, you know when you're off quicker.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's really great advice. Well, let me ask you one final question here as it relates to this whole topic. Is there anything that we can do, or any crystals that we can use to actually help prevent this? You know, we've talked about how to remedy the situation, how to recognize it when it's happening. Is there anything that we can do more preventatively to really help us just avoid getting into these energy connection cord patterns in the first place, just to make us more conscious of where our energy is going to begin with?
Wow. Gosh, if you figured the answer out to that, will you call me? No, seriously, like, can I tell me the podcast that's on? 'Cause I really want to watch it. You know what? I feel life on our planet Earth is a life lesson, and it is a journey for us human beings. And I think awareness, and even for somebody who meditates and does all this stuff, I got a lot of stuff I'm still working through. And even though I want to be great and all that, I have a teenager, and there's a trigger that happens the minute when some of that stuff goes down. Cord, cut. But I think that awareness is a big deal. Life is moving fast nowadays. And even if we want to be in that state, it's human nature to have things come up. And so I feel why this is so valuable. It gives us a tool. And I'd love to be able to blame and go, that's blah, 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 but it makes me have ownership. So I feel like for me personally, it brings it back to what I could handle in life is me. And that's a really full-time job. So I don't know. I honestly can't answer that question because I haven't learned that one yet. Exactly.
But I think what you're saying is the accountability part is so important.
Yeah.
And every day, every moment, we have a choice. We have a choice to create boundaries. We have a choice to not extend ourselves out to people that might not be rising us to a level. Maybe they are just someone that is not vibrating in the same place we are at that moment. You know what I mean? And that's not what we need. Maybe we need more inspiration for that day. And we know where we can make those choices to be around that energy or not sometimes. But like Heather said, life happens. And just when you think you have the right environment, something's going to happen and you got to be ready for it.
And if you work with crystals, just when you think you got your jam down, you're like, I got this. Yeah. I am on it. Bam, the next lesson arrives, and it gives us another opportunity to grow, right?
And learn.
Yeah.
Can I tell you I love you ladies more than ever right now? It's so true. You're not saying that there's some magic cure out there that's going to make us be like these blissed out, enlightened beings. You're just saying, hey, it's about being human, and it's about learning these lessons and integrating and becoming more consciously aware of our own energy, of our own actions, and taking responsibility. So thank you for that so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And if you want to know a little bit more step-by-step exactly how to do this exercise, please check out the Crystal Muse book that you can find below this video as well. Ladies, thank you so much, Heather and Timmy, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.